Hello, my name is Kirk Murphy, and welcome to the West Shore Archive. Today's guest is physical education instructor Nicole Anagnastis. Coach Anagnostis is one of the two original teachers at West Shore and has had a long history as the physical education department head. Please welcome Nicole Anagnastis.
All right, hello, Miss A. For those of you that don't know, that Miss A is a PE teacher at West Shore. You are one of the original teachers at West Shore also.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So where were you raised?
I grew up in Miami, in a place called Hialeah, Florida.
Actually, kind of funny. Mr. Fleming grew up there, or not Hialeah, but Miami and Schleider, I think.
Yeah.
So where did you go to high school?
I went to Hialeah High School.
Hialeah High School. Did you know you wanted to get into teaching or physical education in high school, or?
No, I didn't know. So I graduated, they didn't call it Bright Futures, but if you graduated in the top 10% of your class, you got free tuition to like a junior college. So that's when I started going to college, and I really didn't know what I wanted to study or whatever, but I had a really good professor for he actually inspired me to do a lot. A class we had to take, what was it called? Fitness analysis. So I learned a lot, and then it inspired me to want to be a PE teacher.
Right. So in high school, did you play any sports, or what did you play?
Yeah, I pretty much played all of them except basketball, because I don't really enjoy basketball. So growing up, I was a gymnast, and I played soccer. I played volleyball. Then when I got to high school, I did those things my first year or so, and then I was a cheerleader, and I played softball.
So what would you say was your favorite sport, and what is it now, you would say?
Okay, back then I was very into being popular and stuff like that, but I still did good with my grades, I said. But I really liked cheerleading a lot. It was fun. And then as I got out of high school, started playing volleyball with friends, at a gym down south that I actually worked at. So then I learned more about volleyball, and I liked it. It was my go-to sport, and learned how to coach it also.
So you said you went to a junior college. What junior college was that?
Miami-Dade.
Oh, then what did you major in after that?
After getting out of Miami-Dade?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I majored in physical education there, and I got an award for, and it's kind of funny, but I had the highest GPA for a PE student. But anyways, I applied for Florida State, and then I majored in physical education there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So after college, what was your first job?
Right out of college, I became a substitute teacher at the school I graduated, the high school I graduated from. So it was, first you have to do a half a year of internship. I don't know if Schley told you guys that, but it's like you're working full-time for free.
Yeah.
So out of college, I was a PE teacher at a school down south, and then graduated, and then tried to get a job. There weren't any, but 2 weeks in to the school year after I graduated, I got hired.
Hired here?
At the school that I graduated from, Hialeah High.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And you were obviously doing PE there, but what classes were you teaching specifically there?
Okay, so first off, I know your whole family, so the older kids. Forgive me if I call you Abe. I don't know why sometimes I do that. But anyways, back then, maybe your oldest sister, it was required for high school students to take health and personal fitness. And I really enjoyed teaching personal fitness. It was my thing. So I taught personal fitness down there, and then I taught team sports.
Did you like it there?
Yeah, it was great. It was really good. It was overwhelming as a young person starting teaching. The classes were huge. They're still huge now for me, but I have more experience. But it was pretty crazy. I remember this one class. I always think about this class. We had 2 or 3 lunches used to happen here at West Shore, and everyone else had lunch, and I was the only one who had a PE class and had like third lunch or something. So I had like 60 kids in this class, and it was team sports because we did half personal fitness and half PE, and there were like 60 kids speaking all different languages, and they all got along. It was like, we called ourselves a melting pot, and we just did tournaments of different sports and stuff. It was really fun.
So this was like a very big school? Or
Huge, yeah. Yeah.
So you had classes that were like 60 kids normally?
Yeah, my first couple of years teaching. Yeah, there's like 3,000 students in that school.
Wow, that's,
Maybe 2,500, something like that.
So you just mentioned that school gave you some good experiences, but what were some of those good experiences?
When I first started teaching, or do you want more about West Shore?
No, at that school.
At that school, just the, I got to work with teachers that were actually my teachers in high school, so that was fun. And I got to like hang out with them as an adult now and get like teaching advice, but also most importantly, like support. Yeah, so as a first year teacher, like the discipline is something you don't like know how to do right away, so it was great having a lot of support. Yeah.
Did you have to discipline more down there than you did here, would you say?
No,
actually.
Actually the same, but it's just a lot more students, so especially my first year teaching, it was not an ideal situation, but I made it through. Yeah.
Right. So after you stopped teaching there, what was your next move?
So the reason we left Miami was both my husband and I were teachers, my ex-husband now. We lived in a place called Miami Shores, and our son was, I don't know if you know TJ.
I don't.
My son. Okay, he's way older than you.
Yeah.
Anyways, he was a baby. He was like maybe 2 or 3. Yeah, 3 years old. And my then husband was going to go play basketball at a school nearby, like a regular high school, and they just have pickup games or whatever.
Right.
And he ended up witnessing a murder on the basketball court.
Dang.
Some guy got fouled, went to his car, came back and took out a gun and killed a guy. And the guy that got unalived or whatever, he was a teacher at that school. And so we lived like maybe like a mile and a half from there, and we decided like maybe it's not such a good place to live here, bringing up a family. So we ended up buying some property in South Melbourne Beach and built a house there. And then my ex-husband, then husband, was a teacher at O'Galley. And then I was teaching, what did I do? I think I was teaching there part-time because I had my daughter and I wanted to stay home with her. So I was teaching like half days or something like that. And then I got hired at Satellite for another part-time thing. And then when West Shore opened up, the kids were old enough to go to, like TJ was going to school and Tess was old enough to, she was like 3 or 4 going to daycare. And so I got to start here at West Shore.
The principal at Satellite at the time was the principal that founded this school.
Yes.
Did you have like a good relationship with her and that's how you got transferred over, or?
I only taught there like part-time. Got hired through Dr. Galbraith, and I was coaching there too. I was coaching volleyball with one of her administrators that they were good friends, but they're also really good colleagues. And so she, Dr. Galbraith, like gave me a lot of support and things like that. So she got to know me as a teacher and a coach. And so I can't say it's like super close, but I had to like, I don't know, connect with her during the short time there. And then when she opened this, I got to work here.
Right. So when you started here, what were the PE classes like here when it first started? Because it was that first year was just middle school, as I understand.
They called it junior high.
Right.
So it was 7th, 8th, and 9th, which is what I was used to. Like coming up here from Miami, I was like, what is going on in this county? It was a little bit different.
Yeah.
And then I started working here, and they had personal fitness, and we tried to, the first year we tried to give it to 8th graders, and they just were not mature enough to handle, like, it's like really good life information, like wellness and stuff like that.
Right.
And so they just like they weren't grasping it in terms of like being in a classroom and then going outside and working out and doing things like that. So the first year was kind of rough, but I taught personal fitness to 8th graders. Then I convinced them to please let's give it to the 9th graders, you know, because I think it's more valued. It's more like life lessons, basically.
Yeah.
And so the second year we did that. And then I think the 3rd year, because I was 9th grade, no, I taught personal fitness that 2nd year, but I also became the first athletic director for high school.
Huh.
So Mr. Eller was athletic director for junior high, and I don't think he wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So they asked me if I wanted to do it, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it, you know, because the stipend was really good, but it was super hard because I was teaching, I was athletic director, I had a homeroom, I had student government, like I was in charge of student government. I had to put on homecoming and be athletic director. It was a night, and I didn't have assistant. And they were like, well, I mean, we don't have football, so you should be able to do all that. Hence, no one has to do that anymore.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
From what I understand from talking to like Mr. Murphy and Mr. Slater, and they put a lot of responsibility on the early teachers here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't know that.
Yeah. Because I don't know. That's just what I've kind of gathered based on what he was doing. Because he told me, Mr. Slater told me that he was having to go he had 5 classrooms in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't remember what Murphy used to do. I know he was in charge of, like, they did put a lot on us though. Was he probably did like junior class.
He didn't come in straight away because they offered him the job here, but he said, I don't do junior high schoolers. So he waited a little bit until there were like 10th graders and 11th graders.
Wait, are you sure that's not him? Because I think Murphy was here when I was here.
He was, but he didn't, that's what he told me. He didn't start right away. He must have waited 2 or 1 year until there were high schoolers because he...
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So who were you working with when you first got here?
You mean my department?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There is a lot of transition of people. Miss Bettis, if you remember her.
I remember this.
Mr. Eller. Those were 2 that stuck it out. Trying to think. There were more of us because we had to teach personal fitness and we had to teach health. I didn't teach health. I didn't like teaching that. So I think Miss Bettis taught all the health classes. And then back then, a high school student, so beyond 9th grade, it was required to take a year of PE, not just a semester.
Right.
So we had all that going. And we had driver's ed. So there was a guy who was here, let's see, I'm trying to remember who came first. Mr. Whitworth, who he was a cross-country coach, a track coach, and a PE teacher here. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I think I have, actually, yeah.
His name is Jason Whitworth. He got hired on after the first year or so, and he was phenomenal. I don't know if he did driver's ed. Anyways, he ended up having Lou Gehrig's disease, and so he got really sick and he passed away. Yeah. Then we had driver's ed for a while under Mr. Kurchevsky. That guy was here, and then there was also another PE teacher. Her first name was Andrea. I think her last name started with a D, and she was here for a couple years. But as time went on and like the budget needed to be cut, they took away the requirement for high school PE and made it an elective. They took away driver's ed, and so we didn't have that anymore. And so like a couple teachers like fell away, and Mr. Whitworth passed away, and then they didn't rehire people after that.
Right, because there was Miss Bettis and Mr. Eller for a long time.
And me.
And you.
Yeah.
So, did you have any initial difficulties coming to West Shore? Was it different than you expected or anything like that?
In what way? Like as
Well, like anything, like you just said you had a lot of responsibilities, but
yeah, it was rough.
Yeah.
I only did it for 2 years. It was
right.
It was too hard to teach and coach. Oh yeah, and I was coaching that time. I
That-
coached track.
Oof.
I was coaching volleyball at
Oh.
Satellite, and then I finished that season. Started coaching here. Coached tennis. It was insane. Anyways, so it was a lot to do, but I was young, so I don't know. We just did it.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't. I don't see many difficulties. You know, it's just like what teaching is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it hard to balance work with being a coach and then your family, obviously?
Yeah.
Because I know coaches spend a lot of time, like, outside of school, obviously, doing what they do, like Downey's out there at games and practices. And,
Yeah.
So was that a difficult thing to do? And do you still coach any teams? Or?
The first part of your question, it was difficult, but I was young. I was like in my 30s, and actually like became like a single mom, and so that was rough because me and my kids were living way down in South Melbourne Beach, so I got a lot of help with neighbors and stuff like that, but I was still coaching. And then when the kids were old enough to come here, and I was still coaching a lot, it was great because they were here, you know, and they would be in the gym and we'd be doing our thing. One of my brothers, he goes, what better place to, for a kid to grow up than in a high school gym? And so I always looked at it like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't still coach.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped coaching in 2000, I think 15 or 16. I was coaching the community for a little bit too, after I quit coaching here.
Right. What was your favorite sport to coach?
Volleyball.
Volleyball.
Yeah.
I kind of figured.
Yeah. It's just where you feel like confident, success. Maybe not successful, but like you feel like you know it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, are students at West Shore any different than students you had taught anywhere else?
There's not a huge difference.
No.
No.
I think with PE, kids are kids, so it's kind of just like...
Yeah.
Yeah. But West Shore is a STEM school that focuses a lot more on academics. So would you say there's like less physical...
Fitness?
That, and do they not show a like interest in physical education as much, or physical activities as much as maybe say like a satellite school or something like that?
That I mean, I don't think so. I think our students, and this has been like throughout all my years of teaching, our students here at West Shore, they appreciate like any chance, where they get a break in their day.
Yeah.
And they are super studious. We would go to away games for our volleyball team, and so the younger kids would play first, and then the varsity team, I was coaching varsity for a few years, they would be in the stands like doing their homework.
Yeah.
Like serious amounts of homework, and then they thought they could just switch it off and then get into a game, and I thought, I brought it up to them like, you guys got to give your brain like an off switch.
Yeah. Before
you are going to go into some kind of competition, if it's not connected.
Right.
So that would be the only thing that I thought was different.
Do you think it's probably harder for student athletes here than any other school?
I don't know. I think it is hard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because my daughter was a student athlete here, and we'd get home from games, and she'd be up like finishing homework and stuff like that, like after, getting home at like 10 o'clock from our games and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I know
So,
personally,
it's rough.
it's a lot of like staying up late if you have like night games and stuff.
It is, yeah, and it's a whole season, so that's like 8 weeks or 10 weeks. And I mean, I'm not trying to like dog anyone, but when these people have like tech week for theater, they want to give them a light load. It's like, hello, these kids, like, I guess they're preparing you if you want to be a college athlete, because it is demanding time-wise.
Yeah, it's true. And a lot of my siblings were college athletes, so
Yeah.
yeah, they had to deal with that workload, and I think West Shore prepared them well for that.
Did
Probably.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My kids, they played like club sports in college, so it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to travel and stuff.
Mm. So, what has been your favorite class to teach at West Shore?
You mean subject?
Yeah.
Or
Not like specific class, but subject. Yeah.
yeah. Well, there was an era where everything was fun, and I think like, not to be negative, but I think like COVID kind of like ruined some of the fun. But I don't know. I mean, my first period class, 7th graders, are really fun. You know, so it just depends on, I think, the chemistry of the students, because it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter what I'm teaching. If the kids have fun and get along, it's really fun. I like that.
Can you really do much to get that chemistry between the students to start, or is it kind of just like a random thing based on scheduling, you think?
I'm usually able to like make groups happen and like give them choices when they need it, and then give them requirements when they need. It's just, so I don't know. I mean, I thought I could until this year. Maybe it's just because I'm old, and that maybe they're disconnected from me or something. I don't know, but it's usually not that much of a problem.
How would you say COVID affected your job? Because it affected everybody in some ways, but how specifically do you think it affected you?
Did you ask the other guys that? Because to me, it's like such a long answer.
I didn't ask them that, but
Okay.
I think since you brought it up, I think it would be interesting.
Yeah. And this is just my opinion, but, opinions of others too, that, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Just the lack of interaction from these young kids. So, for example, I have a difficult 7th period class, but some of the kids in that class, like, I can connect with and, get whatever I need done. And one of them was telling me about when they had hybrid learning. She said they were in 3rd grade. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that.
That's, yeah. Wow.
So imagine the students that are in 7th grade now, you call them Gen Alpha, whatever, for a year and a half, they were trying to learn in front of a computer. Yeah, so I think that lack of connection, like human connection, it might have stunted a little bit of maturity, in my opinion. Not everyone.
Yeah.
Because you're not everyone's house, so you don't know who's getting like the extra boost of like human connection. But I think in general, it might have stunted some of the maturity.
That was actually funny with the whole COVID thing. Was I went to school during that period, but other people didn't. And then you see them the year later, and they're like, that was 9th grade for me, so. That's when a lot of people get like bigger, and like it's like I was in middle.
I got bigger.
I was in middle school with them, and then they, I was thinking specifically like Ryan Weaver.
Yeah.
He was like a small little guy back in middle school, and then after COVID, he's like taller than me all of a sudden, and like jacked. So
You got jacked. It's true.
COVID,
like kids go through, they go through their like physical growth like they're supposed to, but to me it was the maturity, like able to, I don't want to keep saying connect, but how they treat each other, behaviors, I think that they took a hit on that.
I think it kind of hit everybody with that. I think since COVID, things really haven't been the same between people.
Yeah.
Obviously, like it's easy to overcome, but like
it might take time.
As a society at large, I think it's been a thing.
Yeah. But we get to see like the behaviors, how they treat each other. I'm like, what is this? Why is this happening? Why are you allowed to like just be like not cordial to someone else because maybe they didn't have anyone telling them to stop doing it for a year.
Yeah.
The parents still had to work.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know.
So what are some unique challenges in general that you have that as a PE teacher that maybe like Mr. Slater or Mr. Murphy wouldn't have?
Sometimes I cover other teachers' classes, and when I walk in there, everybody is like quiet, and they get up and they get their paper and they do their work, and literally like they do everything they're supposed to. And then when they come out to PE, it is like all heck breaks loose, and there's so many of them sometimes. It's just like you have to like not take it all on your shoulders. But I mean, it is crazy like how I know he sets up his class very well, but he would never have a student like messing with the wires
or like climbing on someone,
just messing with equipment like. But when they come out to our area, they're just like, they go nuts.
Yeah. But I guess it's kind of it's like recess, but...
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to say this. Whenever they started taking away like younger PE, like people teaching in the younger elementary schools, because they took that away, I think. They took PE away.
That's sad.
And they made like you can probably look it up when it happened, but they made like the classroom teachers have the students be active in their class, and the teachers weren't happy. They're like, we're not PE teachers. What for 15 minutes a day they have to get them doing something active, and they're not PE teachers. So they take them out to recess, and nobody, in my opinion, this is generalization, but I don't think they correct behaviors. Physical behaviors at a young age. Yeah. Like, it's insane. When they get here, they don't know what sportsmanship is unless they've played, like, for a team. Like, actually gone and, like, get enrolled in a team. It's pretty crazy.
Do you think being on a sports team or just being involved in sports in some way is important for development as a student, but also as a person?
I think I do. I think being on a team is important. Just physically or whatever, but also behaviorally, how you relate to others and things like that. So I think it's really important for kids to know, how to move their body in space. And when they don't get a chance to learn it at a young age, like they say, the first 3 years of life is the most important developmentally. So like people who don't play catch with their kids, maybe they don't know how, or they don't want to, or whatever, I think the kids suffer a little bit. So that's what I try to do is take like the fundamentals and either introduce or reinforce or perfect, like all within the same class. Yeah.
Then is there any behavioral benefits from being on a sports team, you think?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, don't you think so?
I think so.
Yeah.
Could you outline what that is?
Yeah. There's this funny, it's not funny, it's actually classic poem called Everything I Ever Needed to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. And I forget the author, but basically how to take turns, how to say you're sorry, how to compete like positively, things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. I like to think of my family. I have 6 siblings, so it was kind of like I learned how to compete and how to lose gracefully, I guess, pretty early. Yeah. And I think a lot of kids don't have that, and so sports are very important for them to learn that.
Yeah, I mean, your mom was a gymnast, right?
Yeah.
And your dad was an athlete too?
Swimmer, yeah.
Yeah, so like, imagine they think it's important, but they don't have any idea what it is, so they put their kids in a sport, and they have no clue of what it is, the parents, how to reinforce it at home. So that's where I feel like they miss out. And it's important because kids do learn a lot of how to interact with each other in society, basically. How to follow rules and not cheat and things like that, not cheat to win, all that stuff.
It is interesting, like sports for kids, it's like its own little tribe, and you have to, like, there's going to be conflict, and you're competing with other teams, obviously. And it's kind of an interesting thing. But I think it's really important, and it's kind of unfortunate that now that you told me this, that they did get rid of PE for elementary, because I remember that was really fun. At least the school I was at.
Yeah.
I went to Gemini. There's a guy.
So did my kids.
There's a kid. What was his name? Mr.
Dumont.
No, it was. Oh, it must be a new guy now. But did they do like the Gemini games when you were there, or your kids were there?
Probably.
It was like, I don't know how they came up with this there. It was kind of like the Hunger Games. It was weird. It was a very complex game. They had I think they called them toothpicks or something, and they were like sticks with foam at the end, and then you also had dodgeballs out there, and there was like circles and gates and stuff.
No way.
And it was really fun. I remember it was like
awesome.
a very, very cool thing that they did there.
Was that in PE?
It was PE, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so they take away stuff like that, like team building. That's a word I should have said. So get that in there somehow. But to me, what I don't like about sports is like the nasty competition.
Yeah.
So like the team building stuff, if you don't teach it young, like they will go like total Lord of the Flies. You know, like just survival mode and not really helping each other, stuff like that. Yeah.
I know how that is. I've been on teams that are like that.
Yeah. And an adult who's in charge, who allows it, shouldn't be in that realm.
I think a lot of times, at least with my coaches, they're just not even aware. Like they're kind of just doing their coaching stuff.
Oh, really?
And they don't see the things that are going on, or maybe they're just ignoring it. I couldn't tell as a kid, but every time I've been on a toxic team, I didn't think the coach.
Such a good word.
Yeah, I didn't think the coach fully comprehended what was going on.
Okay, has a coach ever like taught you how to get away with like dirty plays? You know, like pull if he's faster than you, pull on his jersey. Has any coach ever told you that? Yeah. See, that shouldn't happen. that bothers me so much. I've never had a coach like that.
I've had a club coach that was like that, but I guess I think for guys maybe it's just like it's a little you're trying to keep it civil, obviously, but it's fighting. That's what it is. I think sports for a lot of guys is organized battle, and so that's how a lot of people treat it, and even the coaches. So there's rules and parameters for that reason.
There's this. I've never had you as a student, right?
No.
So, maybe about like 5 or 6 years ago, I started getting into like having students write essays for their final exam, which is, I love it. They don't like it. I might not do it this year, but I love it because I see them as a group, and then I can only make assumptions what they're actually thinking because there's not a lot of time. But when they write it out, it's very interesting. Anyways, the one prompt I gave them, and you might want to think about this as you're growing up and stuff, the difference between sportsmanship and gamesmanship. Do you know what gamesmanship is?
I think I'm going to assume gamesmanship is whatever you need to do to win the game.
Without breaking the rules.
Yeah.
So if it's not a rule and you're doing something that isn't always sportsman-like, but it's not in the rules, people think you can do it.
Yeah.
And it's not right.
Yeah.
Like, one example I gave them to read about was one of the Olympics. I'm not going to say what country, but one of the countries like threw their whole like first round of games because they wanted to be in a different bracket. And they do it on purpose. Yeah. In the Olympics. Yeah. They lost on purpose to get in a different pool or whatever. So, yeah. Yeah.
That's the question between like, technically you're following the law, but is it ethical? And there's a lot of professions that are like that too, like journalism. You can follow the law in journalism pretty easily, but if it's ethical or not, or that's a huge consideration. Unethical journalism is bad, and most people would agree with that. So I guess sports aren't as serious as necessarily journalism for most people, but
they're part of society.
It's how you learn the differences between the rules and how to actually be a good sportsman.
Yeah. So, I don't know, because like my daughter Tess had a lot of classes with Schley, and she ended up studying journalism in school. She got she was a journalist. Now she works at a university, but you know, everything that he teaches you guys, like, is on the track that you need to stay. You know, and it's a shame where it's headed right now. But yeah, she was the editor of her college newspaper at University of Tampa. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I'm probably going to political science, but
good.
Yeah.
My brother studied that. That's awesome.
Nice. Yeah. And then law, maybe we'll see.
Yeah, he did that too. He studied international law, so he worked for a company that would take on like cruise ship cases because it's in international waters. So when they ever had like legal issues or whatever, he would go to court for that.
Oh, this is a good question. Did you ever teach your kids here?
Yeah.
Yeah? How is that?
Those are the best years.
Best years?
Yes, the best. And they didn't have to take PE. They always wanted to. It's so funny because, like, a lot of their friends are my students too. And so now we're all old enough and we hang out and stuff whenever, you know, I visit them. They get together with their friends and they talk about, like, how much fun they had in PE and how they would just, like, just have the best time. Yeah, so they definitely every year they took PE every year that they were here.
Yeah, I haven't been doing that much because I got locked in chorus. They kind of don't let you go once you get in there.
Are you serious?
I mean, I wouldn't leave now, but I remember
she needs guys. Probably.
Yeah, I remember in 9th grade. I like put it like 3rd on my list, and they still threw me in there. Like, you know,
no way.
Yeah.
What grade are you in now? You're a senior.
I'm a senior now.
Okay, yeah, senior project, obviously. Yeah. So those Gemini games, were they anything like Wildcat Challenge or no?
No, they were more. It was like a big event. Like, I think they got rid of them because it would cause drama like the week before because you make alliances and stuff. That was the whole thing.
See, that's a whole like skirting the rules. Oh.
Well, I think alliances were allowed. Then there was a point when you were supposed to turn them off. I don't know what the guy was thinking that was running it. I think his name was Mr. Buck or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a very interesting. It seemed very social experimenty. It was like
you guys.
Yeah.
He's like, no one's gonna know if I do that.
No, but it was really fun. I enjoyed it, but it was interesting.
Speaking of Wildcat Challenge, I didn't say this at the beginning. Like, when I was athletic director, I was activities director also at the same time.
Is that a title that even exists still?
Down south, like, they're separate. Because, I mean, activities are all the clubs.
Right.
And athletics are all the teams. And here, they just put you in charge of both, which was a lot. I mean, because we haven't had an athletic director to teach class and have to coach and club and homeroom, like, since Rio Pell took over. And it was a lot. Anyways, back then the test was called the FCAT. I don't know if you ever had to take that.
Yeah.
Okay, so in high school, FCAT only took place until 10th grade. So the superintendent wanted the 11th and 12th graders to be at school during the FCAT. And it was like a day or two. I don't know. It was 2 days actually. Yeah, because we had to do it. So we came up with a Wildcat Challenge. Me and the assistant principal, her name was Claudia Shirley, and we like invented it so that the kids would have to be here.
That's interesting.
Yeah, there's just, I could say that an answer to your previous questions, what's different is there's just a higher standard of everything here. Like we're held to a higher standard of everything. You know, you can't just say, hey, you know, you don't have a test, go home. Like, we hold like everything to a really high standard. Yeah.
That's interesting that's where Wildcat Challenge came from. I just figured like most schools have a field day or something, and that's how it started.
Nobody has it. We're the only ones who did it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. And when it went away, when FCAT went away, like, it became something to really cement the homeroom, you know. System. Yeah, the whole system, the whole like support for it all.
Yeah, because West Shore's unique with the homerooms.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that Wildcat Challenge and homerooms became sort of like a thing. That's interesting.
And homerooms have changed a lot too. We used to have homerooms on Fridays. And we didn't have early release Fridays back then, and homerooms were like, straight. They were like 45 minutes long, and it was, nobody liked it.
Really?
So for them to move it to the middle of the day and make it like short and meaningful made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a homeroom right now, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. What grade?
I've always had a homeroom. I've had I had the first graduating class when I was athletic director, so I had to even help put on first graduation, everything.
Wow.
My homeroom they're juniors now.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's something I didn't talk to my other interviews about, the homeroom thing. But how many homerooms have you cycled through?
Okay, that's a good question, because something happened in between. So we opened, then I had the first graduating class, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the first graduating class was the first one. Then, when was that? 98 plus 6 is 2004. Okay, then I had another one, 2004. Yeah. I don't know. Then 2004. Then I had 2013. Then there was these big fires in Palm Bay that kind of affected a teacher here, and her husband was disabled, and they had to move. So I had a 7th grade homeroom then, but then they gave me her homeroom, which was 9th grade, because my daughter, it was the same year as my daughter, so I got moved. So I have an extra homeroom, so there might be it sounds, I don't know, probably 5.
Yeah.
Because then my daughter was 2013, then 6 years later, 2019. Yeah, so 5 or 6.
And I know personally, I really like my homeroom. I have Estevez, so
nice.
Having a good homeroom teacher is a very fun thing, and it's a lot of students will remember their homeroom's teacher and appreciate the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great.
Did it when you started out? Was it fun in 7th grade? Did you always have him?
I did. I had him in 7th grade. Yeah, and I remember my brother was a physics kind of kid. So
who, Abe?
Abe, yeah, and so Mr. Estevez would always call me Abe. Just because he was
It was so funny when Tess came home for something. She came to school for something. She's like, when did Abe get muscles? Because remember, he went from
he was small.
He did a little Ryan Weaver kind of thing where he got jacked.
Yeah. And he was really short until I think 10th grade or something, maybe in 11th grade. He was a really short kid. That's what he tells me.
But everybody's short. It doesn't matter. So
yeah.
I remember Abe in my class. He and this other kid, I don't remember the other kid's name, but they were competitive in the best way. I loved it. I would tell them to do their push-up, their max out push-up, and one of them would do 100 and the other one would do 101 in 7th grade. And then I would tell them to do something else, and they just made each other better. You know what I mean? Instead of egging each other and being mean. I think that might have been the beginning of kids changing and kind of getting hard to get along with each other. Yeah. But so the homeroom thing, back to that, it's I got an extra one because of that fire thing that took place. Yeah.
Is that an emotional thing when you've been with kids for 7 years and then they 6, sorry. Yeah, then they graduate? Has that first homeroom class, were you especially connected to them, or?
Okay, well, the reason why, are you in a gifted homeroom?
I'm not, no.
Okay, because I don't have gifted homeroom. It just depends. The first couple years can always be so bumpy because, once again, not normally in a classroom that has a desk that you can have a seating chart. So that, the growing together takes a year or 2.
Yeah.
And then it just depends on if they like each other or not. That's just important for me, for them to get along. I'm glad that you guys get along. Not all homerooms get along.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of a random...
What do you think it is? Did you guys have anyone in your homeroom that was just
I mean, we've had a lot of people leave.
Okay. that's an important thing. Like, if they don't want to be here,
Yeah.
and then they're in a class where they're not getting like credit,
Mm-hmm.
they can make it difficult.
Yeah. I remember Esvez used to, hate us a little bit because, because we were a rowdy bunch. I think I've never been really like the gifted stuff.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the gifted homeroomers don't get along as well.
Yeah, they're too. In my opinion, and it's coming from them.
Mm-hmm.
They take competition like into the academic realm, and they put too much stress on each other. It's not fun.
Yeah, it becomes like this is my parents' like main complaint about West Shore is the kids here, they get like competitive about the wrong things sometimes, like who's staying up the latest, who's doing the most work, or like stuff like that.
They do.
And
oh my god, that's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's unhealthy.
But we'll complain about it. But this is how I perceive it. It's like you're complaining, but you're bragging.
Yeah, we call it brag-planing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what my god used to.
It's like I'm so sore from how hard I worked in that soccer game last night, or something.
They used to
like
call
that.
it brag.
Yeah.
My daughter had like volleyball like player friends, and they'd be like, "Oh, these spandex are just so big, nothing fits me." And we're like, "Okay, we get it. You're thin." Like.
Yeah.
But they were able to joke about it, and when it's just, if you can't laugh at yourself or with other people, it makes it kind of hard. But the homeroom thing, one of the best homerooms I had, because I didn't have my daughter in my homeroom, but I had her friends. They were fun. We had such a good time. And then after that, I had the next class. They were so different. If you can picture like The Breakfast Club, do you know that movie?
I don't, but
like all different personalities.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Just totally different personalities, and then they all came together at the end, and we all like respected each other. So that's how I wish most of them end up going that way.
Happens.
Yeah.
I think in 7th and 8th grade, my homeroom was a lot more splintered and different smaller
good
groups.
Word,
but
splintered,
now I think we're a pretty like coherent group, and it's pretty nice. And I think most homerooms are like that.
So I was talking about the last homeroom that I had in 2020. That before this one, they were funny as heck. Anyways, I brought in my yearbooks from my high school, the one I worked at, graduated from. In our yearbook are some of the most inappropriate pictures you can imagine.
Like what?
Like Spirit Week, you dress up for Spirit Week, different days or whatever, and one day was like Halloween costume day, and they're literally a picture of people dressed in Ku Klux Klan. A picture, not just they were doing it. It is in the picture, in the yearbook. It's so bad. But nobody saw it that way, It was just like a stupid kid thing. So you just got to be really, really careful.
Yeah, now you have to be careful.
Probably saving you.
I'm going to talk about Mr. Eller real quick, because you worked with him for a long time, and he worked with you, obviously. And so how did Mr. Eller leaving affect you? Was it a little bit emotional, or were you guys friends at all?
We were just like...
colleagues?
Work, professional. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean... It brought in some new, him leaving brought in some younger teachers and stuff. So I'm glad that I am still here to show them how and why we do things. And so that I think is a good transition.
And how has been being like a mentor to Downey a little bit, Coach Downey?
He's doing good.
Doing good?
Yeah. And he takes well to like suggestions and things like that, and as a mentor to Coach Pazarek too, because coming in, she had worked with elementary school, and she was also here a lot as a substitute, so she got to see how we ran things. And so this year, since it's my last year, I thought it would be good for her to be the department head, and if she needed any like advice or anything, I would still be here.
Right.
Yeah.
As a department head, what do you do exactly?
Okay, so I'm not department head now, but I was last year and year before.
Okay.
It is just disseminating information. So like making sure that everyone has like the same mission
Mm-hmm.
from Mr. Fleming down.
Mm-hmm.
And things come along throughout the year that need to be addressed and put into place and stuff like that. So it's just, I guess you could think of it as kind of like a little Senate, you know what I mean? Because you don't really get to vote for big changes, but you get to get input in what works, what doesn't work, and then you help disseminate information so that everyone keeps the school going with good flow and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of hierarchy so that there's...
I never saw it as hierarchy. I didn't see it like that.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it because it was one thing that you did extra you got paid for.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a little stipend, is what they call it, extra money.
Yeah.
But I never thought of it as a boss. I don't know. I'm not good at being a boss.
I'm an editor in The Roar.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily like I'm your boss. It's more like you come to me first and then you go, I can talk to the person above me so that there's more efficiency of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There is, for our department, there's only 3 of us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to get everybody on board and to hear what's going on, if there needs to be any problem solving and stuff like that. I think it would be harder to be like a math.
Yeah. I'm actually going to talk to Miss Neri tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to her about, because she's the department head for the math department.
Yeah.
I think that's probably more difficult.
I think so too.
Because math teachers are not as communicative a lot of the time.
It's difficult in its own ways because I really think that the subject areas are equal. I know I don't want to teach math.
Yeah.
I think math pretty much carries the school.
It's true.
Yeah. But I know that you can't have a school without, you can. There are some schools that don't have PE, but you can't have a well-rounded student body without
all the
PE, And I kind of take it seriously. I make sure I teach skills and teach sportsmanship and teach friendly competition and things like that.
So there's a bit of a lot of people are leaving this year. You have Mr. Sladorn, Mr. Murphy, Mr. Fleming, Ms. Halbier. Are you at all concerned about the future of West Shore with so many big, long-lasting people leaving, or do you think it'll just keep cycling and be good?
Know.
You don't know?
I'm sure they'll take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's time to go for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or did you kind of line up with them on purpose, or?
No.
No?
No, not at all. I actually, it's been a really, really long time, so I think it's time for me to fade out and let other people take over.
So are you just retiring, or are you, what are you doing?
I'm retiring, but I still have to work because the retirement isn't, you don't get a fat paycheck every month. You get half of it.
Yeah.
Which is not enough to live on these days. So I'll still work. I don't know. I don't want to teach anymore. I feel like I'm losing patience with that, and maybe other people have better methods. But I'm going to. My kids live in California, so I'm going to move out there. Everyone says it's expensive, but it's really expensive to live here now too. So
it's true. Yeah, it's not much better.
We'll work it out somehow. Yeah.
What are you thinking about? Any jobs in specific, or are you just gonna play it by?
I think I have to play it by ear. I've had other jobs in addition to teaching my coaching. I was a personal trainer. I worked at gyms, things like that, and so that might be something easy to get into, with all my experience.
Yeah.
But I'm I don't want to have to form I don't want to be in charge of 50 kids an hour.
Yeah.
for $12 an hour, I'm not gonna do that. So
yeah. Teaching definitely is over time. I think a lot of teachers get a little bit ground down by it, but yeah.
You can't do it forever. You can't, because also you get older, but the kids stay the same age.
Yeah.
Which what I was saying earlier is that maybe that's the problem that that I'm seeing, not being able to bring them around. Maybe it's just too much of a gap.
Yeah, maybe.
Not for me, because I can deal with anyone, but for them towards like an older
It's the
PE
opposite.
teacher.
Yeah.
That's what I think,
Mm-hmm.
possibly.
Because I know I just got a new chorus teacher, Miss Ross. I don't know if you've met her, but she's like
super nice.
22 or something.
Yeah.
And I know I connected a little bit better with her than I did my
Nice.
other one.
Did you? Okay, that's good to hear.
Because she's younger, and so I kind of understand. I guess there's like almost a like cultural understanding that we're kind of from the same time and we kind of understand each other a little better. Which is
for sure.
Yeah. Not that Miss Stevens was bad or anything. I think it's just
good.
yeah.
So it's nice to have that connection. Yeah, I was 22 when I first started teaching down south. So you're only like 4 years older than the kids, so you could be their like big sister.
Yeah.
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 So that's good. Are you guys? So you're the last one to graduate, right?
No, Grace.
Oh yes,
Grace,
Grace. That's right. What was I thinking?
Yeah.
I never see Grace though. Where is she?
She's she does gymnastics and
But does she come here?
she does. Yeah.
Okay, I never see her.
Did you never get her for PE?
I never had her for PE. When Grace graduates and you guys go to college, are you guys going to stay in Florida, like your family?
I'm going to FSU. I just committed actually.
Nice.
So, yeah. And then Grace is probably not. She's probably going to be a college level gymnast.
Yeah.
So she might stay in state, but it kind of depends a lot on what colleges.
Yeah, because your mom went. She tumbled or was a gymnast in college, right?
She was a gymnast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Temple University.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
She was my Your mom was my therapist after I had knee surgery.
Oh yeah. My mom's a PT.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's doing well actually. She has her own practice now. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Honor Murphy Physical Therapy.
Oh okay.
She's on Sarno. She is kind of like in the building. I don't know if you know what rock steady boxing is. For Parkinson's patients, it's kind of.
I've heard of it. Well,
Yeah.
I've read some articles. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So she's in her office, and so
cool. She gets to see that. And
Yeah.
Maybe does she participate, like help out with it?
I don't know, maybe a little bit, but
cool. Nice.
Yeah. And yeah, Grace is doing gymnastics, and Abe just went to Baltimore. He did the aerospace engineering stuff. So he's in Baltimore right now, like Pathways program at Northrop. So they just move you all over.
Yeah, my kids live in California in a place called Redondo Beach, and that's where Northrop is based also. So if he ever gets there, it's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to like actually get like a formal path or a Northrop job somewhere or other company. And he kind of he either wants to go to Utah or come back here. That's like he really likes Utah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Because
awesome.
he had an internship last year out there.
Okay, he's not gonna turn Mormon, is he?
No, I think he liked how young people were there because it's a lot younger than here in Florida.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he likes skiing. So.
Oh, okay, snowboarding
and Utah has
stuff like that. Yeah.
Utah is really good snowboarding.
Cool.
And do you remember Noah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Noah's actually a firefighter. He lives at the Cape. He has like a house and everything. It's kind of crazy.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know all of them. And your oldest sister, she played volleyball.
Did she? Oh, Bridget played volleyball?
No. Bridget was a gymnast.
Sure.
Sorry. Bridget and Tess are the same age.
Bridget.
Yeah, they went. Okay, no, Bridget. She was the swimmer, right?
No, that's Byrne. Byrne was a swimmer, and Bridget was soccer. She played soccer.
Okay, you know what? I'm getting your family confused with another large family.
Mm-hmm. That's actually something I want to ask. How is like having, because West Shore has family preference, so we have a lot of large families that come through here.
Yeah.
So, how has it been seeing sibling after sibling after sibling?
I love it. Yeah. It is a trip. Mm-hmm. And not only that, it's not even from one year to the next. Like, I swear to God, like, almost once a week, I will look around. I'm like, oh my God, they're brother and sister. Like, because separately they have their own ways and their own whatever. And I never remember last names that much. And so when I make like sibling connections constantly, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I love it. My kids went here. So when my son was here, he was 4 years older than my daughter. And so when she got to come here, he was in, seventh? He was in 10th grade. She was coming in 7th, and he took care of her.
Mm-hmm.
He told her, this is what happens, and this is what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the best.
Yeah, I think it's nice having a family name, kind of, because I know it was good for me in some ways and bad for me in others. But
why was it bad?
Well, you have I know my siblings were all like kind of overachievers, so I had to live up to that expectation a little bit, but it was overall good because teachers know your name, pay attention to you a little more.
I had 5 kids in my family, and we all went to the same high school.
Mm-hmm.
So, and our name kind of stood out, and everyone was, in extracurriculars. Me and my brothers were athletes, but my sisters did other stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I know what that's like, especially when they're like something to look up to. It's actually really nice.
It is nice, especially I looked up to Abe a lot back then, because he was obviously closer in age to me, but also he did all the things like the soccer and the editing the videos and stuff. It was like
so long ago. It's crazy.
I know it is. I can't believe I'm 18 and like there's like kids who are in 3rd grade here now. It's like crazy.
Exactly. It's so funny, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like Miss McCormick's kids here, and when I had Miss McCormick in 7th grade, she was always talking about her kid. She was always like, my daughter. That's all she was ever talking about, pretty much. Really? It was really funny. She always had stories, and then now she's at West Shore. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, her daughter's so sweet. Mm-hmm. She's really nice.
Mm-hmm. So, thank you for the interview. It's been very nice.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I wish you well in your California journeys.
Thank you so much.
Along with Kirk Murphy, Coach Anagnostis is the last of the original teachers to be retiring. Coach Anagnostis' leadership in physical education has made West Shore more than just about education, but also fun and healthy. I wish you well in your retirement and your move to California. Thank you.